flows like a blossom in a fallen cosmic river. SKUH and CHROKOK fell like dense smoke trickles from the crest of a celestial volcano.
SKUH had a troubled past, mirrored by an inability to see beyond the constraints of space and time. His bones were penetrated by deep anger. Though being outside of time, he still felt the crushing weight of his infinite loneliness. His only power of creation was his snails, which followed him through the universe and were known by later life forms as galaxies. Snails are no good as company. SKUH yearned for more. He yearned for the ignition of his greater purpose.
In the never-ending void of a timeless existence, where can one find their ignition? SKUH ripped off a chunk of his snail fingers, trying to form it into any shape that wasn't a snail. There had to be more than just snails, but when he released the finger from his grip, a perfect snail flew out.
Oh! What miserable existence I am plagued with, forced to wander directionless through an infinite cosmo. I am God, but what faith do I have to cling to? SKUH screamed, his pointless frustration into an unlistening world before worlds.
On the other side of infinity, a goddess made of the darkest matter, the inverse of all SKUH felt, starlight itself, held her heart in her hands. Like a slab of black mountain clay, they pondered the muscle's delicate entropy. They were disgusted by the many chips and cracks in the clay. CHROKOK had a string of intergalactic crime that followed her trail like a white lie that snowballs into a murder accusation.
Their past lingered in the air around them like a virus. They were seeking an escape from eternity, from nothingness. Was there anywhere beyond this plane, this existence of inexhaustible idleness? They believed themselves to be the sole creator of the not-yet-born universe. But fuck, they didn't want to be.
He believed himself to be the sole force that would set the universe into motion, constantly wondering why it wasn't working, that is, until he met CHROKOK. Seeing the goddess on the far reaches of the space between space, he bounded toward her with the force and vengeance of 1,000 unborn winters.
CHROKOK saw the snail god coming, and a flicker of momentary excitement electrified their tired soul like an albatross struck by a bolt of lightning. They forced the feeling out. They worried this god was the manifestation of their destiny, their starlight personified into slime. They screamed in disgust.
Ah! Who are you? You're not supposed to exist. It is only I, the great and mighty CHROKOK. The goddess of wisdom and space screamed, throwing her words like the elixir of fate towards an equally confused and cruel SKUH.
Whatever do you mean, whore? SKUH exclaimed. I'm the only creator of the universe. He lied to her, seeking the dominant position in the relationship, as he knew it was her that was his ignition.
Energy oozed out of CHROKOK's eyes, seeping into space between space. There was a magnetism to SKUH that she couldn't deny. She felt pulled to him by the red string of fate. The troubled goddess of fate was master of it, however, and they would cut that string in an instant.
Cosmic being was sizing up his moody, damaged matter. Whatever are you looking at me like that for? I've spent eons traveling to nothingness in search of a tool I can utilize to instigate the ultimate creation, and all I find is a silly little being? I've witnessed the failure of the collapsed attempts of millions of gods at creation. You will fail just as all the others did, SKUH exclaimed with sarcasm and frustration, speaking mainly to himself.
CHROKOK was shocked by the rough demeanor of the snail god. Slime poured down his face, sloughing off and disappearing into the never-ending void. She turned, feeling sick. They felt no desire for creation. Why was he treating her so? He reminded her of her past, her destructive tendencies, her crimes against the flow of universal vibration.
The ultimate blackness of the anti-universe seeped in around SKUH as CHROKOK's flowing starlit hair illuminated her face like a lightning strike. He realized she was different. If she could create the stars that flowed like liquid nitrogen around her face, perhaps she could create a universe. We need to join our cosmic bodies to create the universe, SKUH screamed into the waterway of energy between the two. The words rippled like a giant boulder thrown into the lake of eternity.
CHROKOK felt her stomach sink as she realized the snail god was right. He was cruel, moody, and the creator of time. Yet they still wanted him, despite not wanting their destiny. She knew this was what their destiny was. The force of 1 billion light years of loneliness hit, pushing the two gods together, embracing in force and power, creating energy, heat, and light like the void had never experienced before. Her stars spewed blinding light, shocking the water, the crest of a fall, momentarily waiting before plummeting into a euphoric cacophony of memory. They viewed in their brief moment together the future of their creation, every beautiful life that was to be lived.
sudden jolt shook SKUH and CHROKOK reluctantly from each other, and when SKUH gazed down at his little snail hands, the grandeur of this fusion came into true fruition. He was no longer alone in the universe, and he was no longer one being.
The two had sacrificed their bodies for the sake of total creation. Their once magnificent forms dispersed like mist through thick foliage. Their listless and stretched bodies clung to each planet in celestial form like morning dew. The first morning was born. Stars and galaxies twinkled around them. The universe was no longer empty. CHROKOK was born, the infinite.